Hi everyone, that's Amanda. I had put a video on a couple of days ago, maybe a few days ago by now, with a book I made out of an envelope style paper, and it uses one 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper to make the entire page. So there were some requests to do a tutorial or a demonstration of how I made these pages, and they look like this. It's one scrapbook page that makes the pocket on both sides. And so that's what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to show you how to make one of the pages of this book that I'm currently making. I'm making a baby book, and it's a book where the pages, each page has a day of the month, so that the new mom can put a picture on the mat here of when the baby was 1 month old. And up here is a place where you can journal, where she can journal, or she can add an additional page, or an additional picture, I'm sorry. So the paper I'm going to be using it's Cuddle by Authentique, and it is the baby girl edition, Cuddle Girl. There's also a Cuddle Boy edition, which I probably will be purchasing because I have a nephew that's due in November, as well as all the girls that have been born. So anyway, this is the paper I'm going to use. I'm going to choose one of the sheets in this book as my last page of the book. I have cut out a lot of things already to complete the book, and it looks like this. The first thing you want to do is you want to choose your paper. And when you make this page, it is very easy to, when you fold it, it's very easy to shred or rip on the bottom. So let me give you an example. This one here, it has a little bit of where it separates a little bit, and I don't know if you can see that, but when you score a piece of paper too hard, or when you fold it back and forth too many times, it gets this little tear. Yeah, I guess it's just a little tear in the page, and it will actually separate if you do it too much. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to try not to score it too hard, first of all, and then secondly, just to kind of give you the heads up, hey, this could be a problem. So when you choose your paper, you want to choose something that's very kind of heavy, but not too thick that you can't fold it. And I prefer a double-sided page, a double-sided piece of paper, but that's not to say that you can't use a single side and just have white on the inside. So let's get started. I have my piece of paper here that I'm going to use, and I'm going to set this aside. Oh, wait a minute. Let me show you all the paper in this package before I put it away, because I just think this is so pretty. So these are all rocking horses, and on the back is this beautiful pink with little mini rocking horses. And then this paper here is a lullaby. It just says love and sweets. I don't know if this is what lullaby this is, but it says lullaby. And then on the back of this is like a pink floral. Then you have this nice little set of cut apart cards, and this is really, really cute. It says like sweet bundle of joy, dream big, once upon a time there was a princess, it's a girl, so many of my smiles begin with you, and this little baby, that's awesome looking. And the littlest feet make the biggest footprints in our heart. And I don't think you can see that on camera, but it's cute. So, but on the other side of it are all the months. So this is what I'm basing my book on, is all the months, because I think she'll really like that and appreciate that. And so then the next, and they're not in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then another 8, and then another 8, or all 6, 6, 6, 6. They're not like that. They're like a mixture. So when I come to them, I got to try to find ones that I haven't already shown you. Like this is the pink stripes. I love that. And a nice pink and green floral print. And see, we come across the rocking horses again, but then here is this gorgeous like measuring tape in all different colors of pink. And I just think this is really pretty. And on the back of that is a page that says, or a paper that says baby girl all over it. And I don't know if that's all the different types. Let me see. I think I'm missing one. Yeah, this one. The plaid here. And this is what we're going to be working with today. And on the back it looks like a wood grain with like little roses and stuff. And I believe that was the last one. I think I've shown you everything. But I'll put this back again. I just wanted to make sure I showed you that whole paper pack because it's really pretty. Okay, so we have our piece of paper here, and I'm going to use my paper trimmer to score my paper. Now you can use the Score Pal, you can use the Martha Stewart scoring board, you can use however you like to score it. I just usually use this because I always have it out to cut with, so I might as well just exchange my little cutting tool. I just take that out and replace it with the scoring one, and it looks like that. So we're going to start with the cutter, and hopefully you can see this in the frame, but I'm going to just cut off this top header here. And usually I would have the arm out, but I don't need it this time because I can just eyeball it, because I'm not measuring at that point. I'm just cutting off this trim. The next thing I want to do is swap out my blade and put in the scoring tool. And you have to kind of look and see what way you want your paper to go, because my envelopes are going to be something like this. And you can see I've used this already, but I'm going to have this side showing and not this side. And when I do this, it's important to know that you want whatever side you want to show on the outside, you need to have on the inside. That's the way I do it. There's probably other ways to do it, but that's the way I want to do it. And it'll go like that. Or no, it'll go like this. So when you swap out the blade, you want to measure your paper at 6 inches. You know what side you want to be going up, what side you want to be going this way. And so we're going to score it, and I just score one time. That's all I need. I was doing it back and forth and it was just too much. So let's score, make the next 2 scores. You turn the paper over this way. So it's the opposite way of what you were doing. And you score it again at 3.5 inches. Just like this. And then you flip it over and you score this side at 3.5 inches. And that's all the scoring you need to do, so you can put this aside. Now the next thing you want to do is you're going to start your folding. And I usually just fold it in half, and I run my bone folder over. And you can see even at just scoring it one time, it's starting to break a little, but even if it broke, we would still work with it. So we will go like this. It's more of an aesthetic thing, the way it looks, more than it being a problem, because you can always fix it. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut just the middle of this 3.5 inches on each side. So I'm going to do that. You try to get it in the center of the score mark as much as possible. And I usually get right up to the line and then just a little bit past, and you can see it's starting to shred. So but that's okay. I'll show you that it won't matter. And then we'll do this side. Make sure we got it all the way up there. Yeah, we're good. The reason why this won't matter, and it looks like I'm off a little bit, so I'm going to trim this side up here. Actually, I'm going to wait till I fold it to trim. So the reason why this doesn't matter is, let's say worst case scenario, it did separate. We would just do this as two different pieces and attach them together. And the way we do it, it won't matter. So we're going to fold in this side at the first 3.5 inches like that, and you can see now why this is on the outside, why the inside is on the outside. And I usually try to match it up to the middle seam, and I do that on both sides. On this one, on this side, and then I flip it over and I do the same thing on this side. And now we have like the beginnings of our page. And see how this is a little bit shredded. I'm going to just kind of trim this up a little bit. Even if I break through, I'm not going to worry about it. But I don't want all those little pieces hanging off. And then this side, it was off a little bit. It was out of, it was a little uneven. And it was probably just the way I had my paper trimmer set up for the camera. So I'm just going to trim that, and it won't really matter either. This is a very forgiving way of making this page. Now, when I look at my page that I've already done, I want all of my pages to go the same direction in my folding. So let me show you one that's kind of like half done, and it's this one here. And see how the bottom fold is up here. And on the back, the bottom fold is at the top, as up here as well. So they go the same direction. And that's what I want to make sure happens here. So on this one, it will be folded like this. So the next thing you do is you're going to fold this in a diagonal way, right up to the seam, but don't go over the seam. And it goes like that. And you go on this side and you do the same thing. And then this is what the page is going to look like. We're going to flip it over. We're going to do the other side as well. I love doing these books that have just like the one piece of paper is a page. I think it's it's very relaxing to do if you're sitting in front of the television, and I think it's really therapeutic for me. So we've got this one, and this is, we need to flip that back like that. Okay, so front and back. So this is like 11 and 12 months. And I was going to show you that I do have another style of, since I was talking about liking this one 12 by 12 sheet type of page, I have another type that's made out of one sheet as well, and it has the pocket on this side, and then this side flips up, and it's cut a little differently and you fold it a little differently. So maybe I'll make a video on that at some point too, if anybody wants to see that. And I just want to trim this one more time. believe it or not, all the other ones I did not have this trouble. It's only since I'm on camera. Okay, so let's start taping. I use score tape, and I know my page is going to go up like this. So I want tape on this side here, and then I want tape on both of the ends so that it seals this right here. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to do it on both sides. So our tape is on, and now we just need to take the backing off of the tape and adhere it down. And the way I remember which side I want it is because I know the top fold has this piece right here on the side. So in case I forget, I know that that's right there. Go ahead and before I tear that off. And if you want to have an album that is a little bit more tight, I keep them loose like this because the photo mat goes in and out and it provides a little bit of room. But if you wanted to make sure these flaps are secure, you could put some tape here as well and make sure those are down. I haven't found that I needed that, but if you want an extra layer of adhesive, that's a good way to do it. And there we go. So our first side is done. We've got our pocket, and let's do the other side. I love this little picker thing. I seriously do not know what I did so long without it. I used my X-Acto, I used my fingernails, everything. All right. So let's go ahead and seal this down, and this as well. And you can give it another fold with your bone folder or the back of your scissors, however you want to do it. And here we go. We've got our front pocket here and the back pocket here. Now, we're not quite done yet. We want to have a pocket at the top as well, and right now it's an open piece. So see how, you know how we have this piece right here that's kind of shredding a little bit? We can actually seal that with tape, and then when you fold it over very carefully, it will seal, and you don't have to worry about it coming apart. And then I'll show you a second way to take care of it as well, and that's why you will find out that I say it doesn't really matter. I'm going to put score tape on two sides, the bottom and this right facing side, and I try to get all the way to the top without going over the edge. So let's take off these pieces of paper, the backing. And very carefully, we are going to fold this because remember, we have this tape here and we don't want it to mess up. So very carefully, got it done. And there we go. Now we have our top pocket. So we have a pocket here, and a pocket here. Now the other way that I've done this in the past, which I really like doing, especially since I use rings and I punch holes here. I take some washi tape and I just put a little bit on there. I've got some really cute little baby feet, pink baby feet washi tape, if you can see that. And then this one is just a plain pink design. And I'm alternating them in the book on the pages. So this is my last page, and it's going to have this type on it. And you just very carefully lay it along the edge. And this is what I think since I tend to have like a vintage look or a vintage style to my books, I think this adds a little bit of a homemade touch as well. So at this point we know this is not coming apart now, but the next thing we're going to do is we're going to ink the pages. And some of you might think, oh, why didn't you ink it before you did it? And you definitely could do that however you want to do it. This is just the way I'm doing it for this book. So I'm going to pull out my Ranger mat. I use this for when I'm inking anything or doing any kind of messy art. And I have my Ranger blending tool and my Distress Ink Vintage Photo. Love this. It is my favorite. And I just re-inked it, so I have to be very careful and very light at first, only because I just re-inked it. So I'm going to just start going over the edges. And I'm very messy with it because that's the way I like it. Now, if you don't like it messy, you want to do it a little bit, I would say a little bit gentler, but I'm like, nah, I just like it to look messy because I like it to look aged. And I even do a little bit on the washi tape. And then I flip it over and I do the other side. I'm very heavy-handed, I think, with it. And you can see by the pages, they look distressed a little bit. And that's why I like them looking vintagey and antique-y. That's not even a word, but I'm using it anyway. So then after I've done the edges, for this book in particular, I don't always do it this way, but I have been just going in here and inking my edges as well. And I love the smudged look. And then I'll go on the other side and do the same thing. And I'm doing this pretty strong. I'm not delicate at all. So by not being delicate, I know the new mom is going to be able to handle this page no problem. So at this point, the page is done. If you want to see how I make the inserts, I have already cut them and I can go ahead and do that as well. So if you want to see the creation of the photo mats, you can continue on at this point. But right now the page is done and the decorating is up to you. But for those of you who want to stay and watch how I build the pages and things like that, or the photo mats, I've gone ahead and cut everything. So this is my last page, by the way. So I've got my 2 journaling cards that I'm going to use as the 11 and 12. And I've cut my paper to where my mats are 4 1/4 by 5 inches. And so the inside piece is 4 inches by 4.75 inches. And then my top pocket here is a 4 by 4, and then the paper size is a 3.75 by 3.75. I tend to use 1/4 inch to mat my pictures. So what I do is I round all my corners, and I use a different kind of, I round them different ways in different tools. Sometimes I use the We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper thing. And then this one here is my Creative Memories corner punch. And I also have another decorative corner punch by Creative Memories. Sometimes I use that. It just depends on the style I want for the book. And sometimes I don't round the corners at all. So it's not a necessity. It's not anything you have to do. Just what pleases you. And then I've gone ahead and cut my mats as well, the backs. And I'm just going to round all these corners. My husband just loves when I do this when we're watching TV. He never says anything, but I know he just loves it. So after all the corners are rounded, I'm going to ink all the edges, and that's why I left this out. And you'll really see my heavy hand here when I do the edges. The paper I'm using here, these mats, is from Michaels. It's the Recollections brand. But honest to goodness, I don't prefer Michaels cardstock. Their 110-pound cardstock is pretty good, but what I've found with the 8.5 by 11, just 65-pound cardstock, it tends to be crooked. So many times I have such a hard time cutting the paper because it's not straight, and it's not been just one pack or one run. It has been a consistent issue. So I tend to go with, well, I was going with Hobby Lobby. Their cardstock is really good. They have the 110-pound and the 65-pound as well. But most recently, I have found the Nina or Astro Brights paper in black, and I really like that paper. And I got some in white as well to use for card bases, and it's lovely paper. And now I understand why so many people use it, is because it is just awesome. A lot of my albums are made using that now, but they weren't always. But like I said, I love Michaels. That's not the issue. It's just with that paper, the cardstock, it just frustrates me to no end to have my paper not be able to be cut straight, especially when I use so much of it. It's very easy to do stuff like this while you're watching TV, or at least it is for me. We're almost done inking everything. Not everybody is into the inking process, so if you don't want to do this, it's not something you have to do for your book or your pages. It's just for this book, that's how I like to have it. So I'm going to set that aside because we're done inking, and we're just going to adhere everything together. And I'll fast forward through this part while I'm adhering everything to the proper size mat. And I'll be using my Tombow Dots Adhesive Mono Tape Applicator. Love this. It is my favorite. It is permanent. I can't say enough about it when I'm gluing down stuff like this, photo mats. I love it. So now I will fast forward while I attach everything. So for all intents and purposes, this page is done. And I hope you found it helpful and that you learned how to put this page together. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. I would love that. And then I'm actually going to leave my camera running, and I'll fast forward it while I put this whole album together and I pretty it up and put on some embellishments and different things like that that are not part of the construction of the page. So if you want to stay around and watch how I put it all together, feel free to do that. Grab something to drink and, you know, turn on your TV, whatever you want, because I'm going to fast forward it so that you won't have to listen to me the whole time, but you'll be able to see how I put things together for this type of book. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll talk to you later, or keep watching.